Hello Eagles Nation, Vincent Focht here, and welcome to our first offseason Eagles chat of the season. Already so much to discuss in this very young offseason for the Birds, but before we get into this Eagles chat, make sure you like and subscribe to the Eagles Chat YouTube channel. And if you want to see daily updates on your Birds, make sure to check us out on Instagram at Chat Eagles, where you also can see updates on when we'll be posting new Eagles chats as well. And you can also find the Eagles Chat Instagram in the description of this video. But let's get right into this Eagles chat. We're going to first start off with a hot topic of this Eagles offseason so far, and that is the Eagles coaches. Now, obviously, the Eagles laid off a good amount of their coaching staff, being Sean Desai, Matt Patricia, Brian Johnson, and have been bulking up their coaching staff for the past couple of weeks, pretty much ever since the offseason began. And we're going to first start off with two hires that have happened within the past couple of days. And those first two hires we have on here are Mr. Clint Hurtt being the Eagles' new defensive line coach and Mr. Carl Scott being the Eagles' new defensive back coach. So when the Eagles said they were bulking up their coaching staff, they must have literally meant it, because right here with Mr. Clint Hurtt, he is a big, muscular guy, and I really think he's going to bring a good, positive turnaround to the Eagles' defensive line. Now, especially looking at the Eagles' defensive line at the beginning of this year on how good they were and how highly rated they were to how they ended up at the end of the season, it really is not too good of a look. And looking at especially the run defense as well, the Eagles' run defense was rated one of the best in the league at the beginning of the season. They now ended the season near the bottom of the league. So that is definitely a big negative turnaround for the Eagles' defensive line. And right now with Clint Hurtt, with all his previous coaching knowledge, now he did come from Seattle. I mean, to speak of it, both of these guys came from Seattle, but Clint Hurtt was previously the Seattle Seahawks' defensive coordinator. So we'll see what Clint Hurtt can bring to the Eagles' defensive line, and hopefully he can get them back to the way that they were at the beginning of this past season and how they were last season in the 2022-23 season. And I definitely think with Clint Hurtt's knowledge that he will most likely be able to get this defensive line back to performing at an all-star level. Now, moving on now to Carl Scott at the defensive back coach. Right now with the secondary in general, with the defensive back section, that needs a good amount of help. And it clearly showed last year when the Eagles lost guys like Kyzir White, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. It clearly showed that they are missing those guys big time this season. If I'm Howie Roseman right now, I'm going to be looking at ways to bulk up that secondary, as it really hurt them big time this season, especially looking at the last game the Eagles played against the Buccaneers in the wild card round. I mean, just seeing how bad that secondary played, it definitely brings a lot of concern to Eagles fans. And if I'm Howie Roseman, like I said, I'm really going to be focusing on that area of the defense. And yes, you have guys like Darius Slay, but he is starting to get older. And you also have guys like James Bradberry, which completely tanked this season. And looking at how he was last year to how he was this year, it looks like two completely different players. Last year, it looks like a pro NFL player. This year, it looked like someone that doesn't even belong in high school, as how bad he was missing tackles, on how bad his coverage was. So hopefully, with this new defensive back coach, my best hope is to try to get James Bradberry back to the style of play that he was playing back when the Eagles made that Super Bowl run in 2022-23 season. But right now, just looking at it, to answer all these people that are saying, oh, just get rid of James Bradberry. Well, there is a problem with that. And the problem is he is signed to a 3-year, $38 million contract, which ends in the year 2025. So yes, can you cut James Bradberry? You absolutely can. The only problem is the Eagles are going to lose a lot of money, and I don't think they want to lose that much money right now. So your best hope is with this new coaching staff to hopefully get him back to the rate of at the level that he was playing last season, and to hopefully, like I said, get him developed back to that area again to be playing at such a high standard again, and hopefully make his contract worth it. But that is your best bet right now. But like I said, if I'm Howie Roseman, I'm going to be going out there this offseason, especially in the NFL draft, which will be here before you know it. I'm going to be looking for players to hopefully spoof up and get that secondary back up to where it was in that 2022-23 season when they lost, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Kyzir White, guys like that, which were really a big part of the Eagles' defense. So right now, if I'm, like I said, Howie Roseman, I'm going to be looking for some good guys for these positions that hopefully can get the Eagles' defense back to where they are. And with the whole James Bradberry situation, hopefully with this new coaching staff, they're able to get him back to the level that he was at when the Eagles made that Super Bowl run in 2022-23. But now let's move on to the real big-time coaching hires, being the new two big-time coordinators, Mr. Kellen Moore being the Eagles' new offensive coordinator, and Mr. Vic Fangio being the Eagles' new defensive coordinator. Now, let's first start off with Mr. Vic Fangio and his style of defense. Now, what Vic Fangio is known for is he responds to modern offenses with too high and too deep safeties. And this style of defense is made to limit big-time explosive plays. Now, me in general, I'm the type that likes more of an aggressive defense that is not around 6 to 7 yards off of the wide receiver. That's the type of defense that Vic Fangio likes to run. And I understand you want to stop the big-time plays, but Vic Fangio is also known for making it look like there's a gap and there's a pass available for an offense, but then all of a sudden closing that gap up real quick. So Vic Fangio has a good history in the NFL, well, has a good amount of experience in the NFL, and hopefully can bring the Eagles defense back up to the standard that I know it can meet. And just looking at his history, like I said, he is known for having that type of defense to limit explosive big-time plays. So we'll see what he can put together. Like I said, if I'm Howie Roseman, I'm going to be trying to get more weapons for Vic Fangio to use for this experienced new defensive coordinator for the Eagles, and see what Vic Fangio defensive game plan, what type of defensive game plan he can put together for this new 2024-25 season when it approaches. But now moving on to Kellen Moore being the Eagles' new offensive coordinator, which I think, in my opinion, is a very good big-time pickup for the Birds. Now, obviously looking at last year, Kellen Moore was obviously with the LA Chargers, and in past years, yes, folks, he was with the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll see what Kellen Moore can bring to this Eagles offense. The Eagles offense has the talent. I mean, he'll be working with guys like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and hopefully he can get Jalen Hurts back to the level that he was playing at back in the 2022-23 season. Folks, we've all seen what Jalen Hurts can do. We all have seen the talent level that Jalen Hurts can meet and be at. But right now, especially looking at last season, on how he played, and especially in Jalen Hurts' interception column, which was not great at all last year, he kind of sloped big time and he declined big time. So right now, that is something that I'm really going to be looking at Kellen Moore for. Now, there are talks going around that the Eagles are looking at getting a new quarterback coach. There is some movement in the quarterback coach section with the current one they having, looking at new jobs. So nothing has been confirmed yet for the quarterback coach section. When we do get confirmation about that, we'll not hesitate to keep you guys updated. You can find those updates on the Eagles Chat Instagram. But as of right now, there has been no clear update on the Eagles quarterback coach situation. But for coordinator, Mr. Kellen Moore, he is a very pass-happy type of guy, and he loves doing passing plays. So right now with Jalen Hurts, I'm hoping that he can possibly get him back on the level that Hurts was on back in the 2022-23 season. We've all seen it, folks. We've all seen what Jalen Hurts can be. He has shown that he can be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. My hope is that he can get back to those standards once again in this upcoming season. But right now with Kellen Moore, just looking at his past, it's kind of hard to judge last season because he was with the LA Chargers, which we're going to straight up saying they were a complete mess last season. The LA Chargers were a complete mess. I'm surprised they took as long as they did to fire their head coach they had at the time. So it's kind of hard to judge how he was last year with a struggling LA Chargers team, which was a complete mess, which was all over the place. But looking at how he was with Dallas, he did not look too bad. Now, speaking to some Dallas fans, he was known as Mr. Go to the end and get a field goal. But I'm just looking at how Kellen Moore is and what type of offensive plans he puts out compared to the type of talent that he's going to be working with, like I said, with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. I really want to see what he puts together with those guys and how he meshes with those guys. Because if I'm thinking, or what I'm seeing, if I'm thinking what I'm seeing is correct, I have a feeling that this offense has a good chance to get back to it, to what it once was under Mr. Shane Steichen a couple years ago. But right now, what I'm seeing with Kellen Moore and looking at his past, I think this is an extremely good pickup for the Birds, and I really cannot wait to see what it's like when he goes up against one of his former teams, the Dallas Cowboys, next season. But as of looking at Kellen Moore, do I think it's a solid pickup? Yes, folks, I do. I think it is a pretty good pickup, and I think he has a chance to really get this offense back to the level it was playing at back in the 2022-23 season. But now let's move on to our player alert. And reason we have both of these guys on the player alert, being Mr. Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelce, is because they are both leaning towards retirement. Now, obviously, a couple weeks ago, news came out that Jason Kelce was officially retiring. Well, looking further into it, he did say, no, it is not official. Now, that must have been said. Some reporter or somebody in the Eagles locker room came out and said, oh, he's officially retiring. And then the NFL, other media personnel got a hold of it. Even me in general, I also said that Jason Kelce has officially retired on my previous Eagles chat. But then came out later that Jason Kelce said, settle down. No, I am not officially retired yet. He wants more time, which I do not blame. I do not blame him whatsoever that he's not rushing things at all. But the news is that Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox are both leaning towards retirement. So we will continue to monitor that situation very, very closely as the rest of this offseason proceeds. But now another player that we have on the player alert is Mr. DeAndre Swift. Now the news with him, as you all know, he is a free agent. Now looking at obviously, Kellen Moore, who they just brought in, like I said, he is a very pass-happy type of coordinator. He loves the passing game. And looking at DeAndre Swift, the future as an Eagle, I don't really know what to expect right now. Now, we'll see what type of deals come in. Now, remember, folks, he is a free agent. So if another team offers a certain price, we don't know what will happen. Will DeAndre Swift go or will he stay? That is to remain uncertain. But right now, looking at it, it all comes down to money. And folks, everything comes down to money, especially in the real world and in sports as well. And we'll see what Howie Roseman and DeAndre Swift can work out. Obviously, I want him to stay. I know that the majority of Eagles fans want DeAndre Swift to stay, as he's probably one of the most talented running backs the Eagles have had in years. But just looking at it right now, the situation with his free agency, right now it seems to be on a 50-50 right now, especially seeing what Kellen Moore being brought in as the Eagles offensive coordinator, like I said, which is very pass-happy. So we'll continue to monitor this very closely as the rest of the offseason continues, and will not hesitate to keep you guys updated on the Eagles Chat Instagram. So that is all I really got to say for this first offseason Eagles Chat of the season. The Eagles, big time, are buffing up their coaching staff. And do I like the moves that I'm seeing? I absolutely do, and I'm extremely happy to see that the Eagles are making coaching changes, and we'll see what type of game plans all these coaches put together, and we'll see how they mesh with the rest of this Philadelphia Eagles team. But until the next offseason Eagles Chat, that's all I really got to say, and I will never, ever stop saying it, folks. Go Birds!